episode 13. I think so. All right, let's do it. Limber up. Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Chuckleslut, episode pretty sure 13. The number one place on the internet where you come for the sluts and stay for the chuckles. My name is Samuel Locke.
I'm Shannon Brunetti.
I am Zach Clapperich.
And this episode is brought to you by nothing and nobody because we have no sponsors. If you want to sponsor us, by all means, we have wide open space for sponsors.
Please, Daddy, give us money.
It's brought here by freedom and love and the Bohemian way. All right, that counts for something.
The sponsored by Zoom, because that's what we're shooting on. Zoom, free press for you, buddy. And as usual, we're gonna start off with our pretty much permanent segment of the World Doe.
This is expressive right there. Thank you.
I'm channeling my Jim Carrey, my inner Jim Carrey.
That's good. It sounded like you were in the middle of that and then you just got sucked through a wormhole and it was just going bad for you. If I hadn't seen your face, I'd be really confused and nervous.
Oh, goodness. Shannon, why don't you start us off for this one?
All right, we have yet more Dolly Parton news and also my official, I don't even know how to apply for other people to be saints, but I hope this will go towards Dolly Parton's sainthood. On the set of her current Christmas movie that's out on Netflix, she saved a little 9-year-old girl that was in the movie. So this people mover was driving through set and this little girl wasn't really like looking where she was going. And right about when she's going to step in front of this car because she's little and Dolly Parton just yoinked her back. And the little girl remembers looking up and being like, oh my gosh, you saved me. And she's just like, well, I'm an angel, you know, quote from Dolly Parton. And I was like, yes, she is. Saint Dolly Parton, national treasure, world treasure. Put her in the thing with the Oreos. We already did all this.
She's
before.
a step away from being canonized. It's amazing. Like, and I wouldn't be surprised. It's one of the beautiful things ever. It would have been better if she like drop kicked the little kid though. Like if she like had this act of crazy athleticism and like Dolly sprints across the road and is like, move kid, and like ka-cha! I just imagine like a little like Fallout thing where she drops kick someone up above. Just everyone disliked that.
No, what if it's like, you know, that scene from Kill Bill, only it's Dolly Parton saving a 9-year-old from all of these like evil forces. She's like, nobody's gonna hurt my little baby.
I'm down. We'll just redo the whole thing where it's not the bride, it's just like the grandma or the gammy. Yeah. And it's just Dolly Parton like coming back from a coma and getting revenge and like someone who's like taking her granddaughter. I would watch that movie every day.
Who do you think else should be like canonized as like celebrity sainthood? I got a couple I can think of, like
Takei.
Takei, Dick Van Dyke for sure. Oh, he deserves.
Oh yeah.
Whimsical motherfucker. Johnathan.
Fucking whimsical.
He really is whimsical though. Johnathan Van Ness from Queer Eye for sure.
Yes, Van Ness for sure.
I'm currently kind of like reading his book secondhand. It's he's an interesting dude.
Their book.
Oh, I did not know their book. Mm-hmm. My bad.
Pronouns are hard. Speaking of like pronouns, and sorry, there's a tiny tangent. Somewhere today, I don't know if it was like a meme or something, but somebody was like, yeah, like I don't know why I'm doing this. Like I'm in the community, like I'm part of the Alphabet Mafia. And I was like, that's the best name I've ever heard in my life for anybody like in the LGBTQ community. You're in the Alphabet Mafia. It just makes it sound so cool. I'm a huge fan. That's now my favorite way to refer to anyone who is a badass, awesome human being and just doesn't want to fit into traditional gender norms. You're in the Alphabet Mafia.
That's the Chuckleslut term of the day, the Alphabet Mafia. I like it. I would totally make like a segment about that maybe later on.
I'm down.
Zach, what do you have in the world?
Sure. Okay. So this is not, I guess, like news. It's just more something that it's been floating around this year. I think it probably originated as like some historian on TikTok. But I've caught reference to, there is this whole sequence of history that's flown around about how Christmas was heavily influenced by like Norwegian psychedelic mushrooms. And apparently there's like a tremendous amount of history to this. And specifically there's in like the northwestern Europe, there's these little like red-capped mushrooms that look a lot like, they're the exact red and white shade of like Santa colors. And when and they grow under pine trees, much like Christmas trees. Not only that though, when they would harvest them, they picked them up and they dried them on the Christmas trees as if they were ornaments. And then the shamans of that time that fed these mushrooms to people and to send them into these sort of vision quests, they would always dress up in red robes because the robes always matched the mushrooms. So you had these old shamans with old white beards dressed up in red robes, feeding mushrooms to people. And this was like their gift to their society. And it always happened. I mean, people don't know, a lot of Christmas like myth is based on like old Nordic holidays. They're there, as well as our weekdays and our months and all kinds of random shit. But yeah, so Christmas might be because of mushrooms.
Dude,
sorry, my dog's barking.
No, it's fine. Like we don't get to party like we used to anymore, and maybe that's just the quarantine talking. But
you're just a dad.
or being a dad, but also the quarantine talking, where it's just like the world just doesn't. The world's been settling down over the eons. I feel like there's like, I mean, because you had like Festivus and Saturnalius and all these other pagan like things where people are just going full frat boy, but like an entire city just going at it. Like you don't have that anymore, and I kind of want that like somewhere in the world.
Well, I think it's less about like the party of it. Keep in mind, like one of the biggest trends that's happening in society nowadays is that we've shifted away from like any kind of like holistic or earthly healing, because pretty much since like, I think it was like the Vanderbilts figured out that petroleum could go into a lot of drugs, and then they bought out every single bit of petroleum on Earth at the time and created the pharmacy industry. And since then, like people just don't trust in those things anymore. Because if you go to tons of places in the world, they still do like mushrooms are a big part of people's lives, and there's lots of herbs. I mean, you get like even blue lotus flower or kracha or something. There's another herb from like Thailand, and there's like plenty of herbs that give you like psychoactive kind of feelings that are amazing, and it helps you grow, and it is healthier than pharmaceuticals, and it's just fucking America. We just want our pharmacy money. Because yeah, that shit's normal. I mean, you can still go down to like Costa Rica and take what's the mescaline thing? The
Hachuka?
It's not
ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca. There we go. I still haven't slept in many a day. Well, my brain is so mush from my birthday. But yeah, ayahuasca is still like a thing that's used in healing all over the world.
Yeah.
I see. So it's like your birthday week. Like it's not like a birthday day for you. It's like a birthday week.
Well, I only had like 2 days of birthday, but I fucked myself up. Woo! It was bad. And then because I had to work like right in between, so I got like no time to recover. And then my brain was just mush, and I've worked like every day since. And I'm trying to do like 4 different projects. It doesn't matter. My brain's goo, and I want Christmas mushrooms to send me on a Christmas adventure. Anyway.
Yes.
Sorry. Tangent over.
That would make Christmas so much more bearable.
For sure.
Honestly.
There's no Grinches on these mushrooms.
Yeah, man. Well, there might be some, but
I'm a Scrooge. I hate this season anyway, and like I try to tolerate it because just openly hating something just makes it worse, right? But I would probably really benefit from some mushrooms right now, because if I have to hear Jingle Bells one more time, I'm going to set things on fire.
You just
not very jolly of you.
You just reminded me of like one of my favorite like Christmas movies that I totally forgot about, the Scrooged with Bill Murray. It's so
Scrooged, yeah.
Surprisingly good. It does not deserve to be as good as it was.
Didn't the like ghost of Christmas Present hit somebody with a toaster or refrigerator or some shit? Like
yeah, it's just like some sassy
have
fairy.
a refrigerator. That's what I remember. Her chucking. I don't know who she was throwing it at, but I just remember her chucking an appliance at somebody, and I'm like, what the hell am I watching?
I dig it.
I remember the Christmas Future though. Like it looked like Grim Reaper, but he had like the TV like static face. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you don't see that on TV anymore. I would definitely give that a watch. We're not doing any Get Wrecked this tonight, but get wrecked.
Quick, a tiny like a little 1-2 punch. Get wrecked.
Yes. Let's see. For today, I actually have a really weird thing. It's not even in the news. This was actually something recommended to me by my girl. Actually, it's a website, and it has to be part of the World Doe because it's such an interesting concept. So this website's called Earth2.io. And these guys sat there and said, we're going to make a 1-to-1 scale model of the planet Earth. And you can buy digital land off of this. Like they're put little squares all over the world. It's like 50 billion squares.
It sounds like a scam. Do you want to buy land, but it's not real?
So
because we got you.
Here's the thing. My first thought is dumb, super dumb, absolute dumb, max dumb. But here's the thing. They already have 100,000 sales in the United States alone. And on top of that, their currency of land goes up and down every day, a lot like the stock market. Right now, you can buy the United States at $2 a square. You can buy China at like 79 cents a square. And I got curious. So I started looking at like Hollywood. I started looking at Manhattan. Some guy bought all of Manhattan, like just one dude, all of Manhattan, and he's reselling it for $1 million. And I'm sitting here like, okay, so there's kind of like money. People are buying and selling this land for sure. Malibu, I think, is worth like $30. And the more I was like kind of looking over this thing, the more it actually kind of makes sense because not only can you buy this stuff, but they actually have ways for you to make money off this stuff. Sure, there's advertising on your squares. I don't know how that works just yet. They're trying to figure that out, but they have these plans to make it work. And one thing they're doing is called income tax, where they actually give you money based on what squares you have. And they have like 3 tiers of squares, like a tier 1 square, a tier 2 square, and a tier 3 square. And each one is worth a different thing. So you can actually hold on to your land and it generates wealth. Like it actually generates wealth based on how many squares you have.
Who's paying the income tax?
I have no idea.
But are there poor people that pay for the rich people to own? Are we in double inverted capitalism? Have you incepted capitalism onto the internet? This is the worst.
No, it's definitely a very late stage capitalistic idea, but go ahead. What do you got?
What if this is the Matrix, guys?
Or what if you're
investing
in the Matrix and that's actually the real world?
Oh God. But what if we're investing in the Matrix? What if we're investing in the takeover if it's not already a thing?
And check this out. So I was curious, started looking around the world where people are buying. The number one place buying, Las Vegas. Las Vegas is completely bought up.
Why? Also Las Vegas is it's such a tiny little piece of garbage desert. Like, are there also casinos that nobody's going to that you're paying casino rates for? Like, what?
They're buying
little virtual people.
Who is there? What's the point?
People are buying novelty right now. They're buying landmark areas. They're buying Vegas. They're buying San Francisco. They're buying Hollywood. Just these like culturally significant places at first, because this is where like once money starts coming in, this is where the money's going to start coming first. And the good news is they haven't. It's not all gone yet. Like there's definitely like wonders of the world that you can buy right now, which is really cool. And they sell some things by the lot. Like someone bought all of Hollywood High School, just Hollywood High School, just some Australian dude bought it, and he's just holding on to it for no reason. And are like the buildings and stuff there too, or is this just like a topographical map of the earth, or is there also like structures and stuff? It's satellite map and it's regular map. If you're gonna buy, I would initially start off with like the map, and then check out the satellite to see who's bought it. Because like I said, there's a lot of people who are already buying. And as a dummy, I'm a big dummy. I bought Bitcoin at 20 cents a Bitcoin back in 2010. And I thought to myself, it's probably not going to be anything. And then I lost my Bitcoins, $20 worth.
I mean, but Bitcoin is, some Bitcoin blows up, like, which is also a thing I don't understand. Like, I do get like the blockchain system, and I do get that we'll probably end up going to an electronic money system because we're already kind of in an electronic money system, but it's still fucking asinine that we just took.
But here's how the future of this Earth IO will work. And if they do this, it will blow up. And that's if they assign blockchain value to these squares. If they're able to do that, which they will be, if someone can blockchain these things, each block, depending on where you are, is going to be worth so much money.
My question is still the same though. Like, once again, like you can with Bitcoin, you can still buy like corporeal things. Like, you can get, there's something that you can get. And however, in this, it just seems like it's all novelty. Like, it's rich people who don't know what to do with their money. Like, sometimes I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. How the fuck am I going to pay the rent on something that doesn't exist as well?
But that's just
like,
it. Bitcoin also started as a novelty. Like, oh, look, digital money. Who gives a fuck? You know, like, this is the same thing. Digital land. Who gives a fuck? The thing is, each one of these things will eventually serve a purpose, just like Bitcoin does. This land will eventually serve a purpose. Someone will find a way to make this of value. That's why people are buying right now. This is the 20 cents a Bitcoin stage. That's why
I think Shannon might be onto something though. That this might be like someone's plotting to, like, when you can plug in. So it's like you go like, but that sucks. Oh my God, it fucking sucks though. It fucking sucks. It's such a capitalistic thing because what this might lead to is, like, say Earth 2 does become like the Matrix. Like, I can't just go in the Matrix and like fly to Costa Rica with my jetpack shoes on and go like hang out.
You got to work a desk job to do the Matrix
I have
capitalism.
to get a job in the Matrix now? Fuck you.
But that's just it. If you're buying land now, you have a place of your own. And
be the Vanderbilts of the next Matrix.
Do you see what's wrong with that though, Sam? Thank you, Shannon. Like, we don't want the Vanderbilts there. Like, the point of the Matrix would be we could all be equal and be what we wanted to be. I want to blink and be like, I want to know Kung Fu. Like, I want to fucking do that.
I want to blink and be a Witcher.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to buy a bunch of land. And if it does happen, you can live on my land rent free. I'll get you a nice little digital house. You know, you do your thing. I got you, brother. I got you.
Can't I have a dragon? I just want a dragon.
No, because somebody bought it already. You can't. All the dragons are bought. They're out of stock, just like PS5s.
Oh man, that hurt me.
Again,
That's a
but
low
knowing
blow.
me, and as much as you all know me, I will fucking never. Like, there's zero chance. My ass, there's not a fucking chance you would see me on Earth 2. I struggle enough with Earth 1.
Elon Musk wants you on Earth 2. He wants all of our microchips in our brain.
Elon Musk is probably going to buy half of Earth 2.
Oh, he's probably buying it already.
He's going to listen to this episode, find out about it. He's going to invest.
Yeah, we said Elon Musk, Elon Musk, today. Elon Musk. He's going to show up. I said his name 3 times.
Yeah, fucking.
Well, yeah,
he said his name 3 times. He's gonna show up.
He's gonna be our 4th panel at the bottom. Like, someone called.
Yeah, be funny too if he shows up and he's just like, "What the fuck? Like, how did I get here? We summoned thee. Answer my riddle 3."
That's how he got into Dungeons and Dragons. Someone said Elon Musk 3 times in D&D.
If there's any alternate reality Dungeons and Dragons players that can summon me, please summon me away from this hell. Summon me to Dungeon World.
Tangents aside, I'm actually totally gonna buy some land. This is the thing is, I have a knack for seeing when things are gonna do something. And I think
you've killed in the stock market so far.
I bought Tesla at IPO actually, and I bought Facebook at IPO, and I wish I kept them. In my 20s, I was impatient. Nowadays, I know a little more. And the thing is, I'm gonna buy this because I think it's gonna be.
Is Macau still open? I'll buy Macau.
I don't know what's Macau.
It's like the casino city south of Hong Kong.
Oh, actually, probably. Singapore's I think fully bought though. Like Singapore's all. I mean, check. I don't know, check, but that's what I saw.
They're like 20 cents a square. I can buy $5.
Anyway, needless to say, if you plan on being a landowner, I say this very loosely. If you want to become a landowner, you have an opportunity.
I'm gonna put my Barbie dream house on one of those squares in the virtual reality. That'll be fine.
Dude, I got so many jokes about this idea, but we're gonna move on from this. Go buy some virtual ed if you feel so inclined. I think it's maybe worth something.
Don't be part of the system.
Don't be part of capitalism 2.0.
Yeah.
Burn it all down.
It's already failed once. We don't need it to fail again.
I feel like I'm almost on a hill to die on. Anyway,
I've got vitriol. Anyway, yeah, go ahead. Moving on before I blow a fucking gasket.
Moving on. We're gonna move on to video games in real life. We haven't done this in a while. And our video game in real life world, we're gonna hang out in today's Pokemon. Yeah.
This is a dark place. This is a darker place than it seems.
So
it's real fucking whimsical in the video games, but
I feel like here's the thing. There are people, for me, I know there are people who would definitely go out to be a Pokemon master. Me, I would just turn into the laziest fucking person in existence. Like, I would just be the laziest fucking person in absolute existence. Here's what I'm gonna do. Because the thing is, Pokemon, they have like, some of them have like larger intelligence. Some of them have not so larger intelligence. I'm just gonna get the most intelligent Pokemon I can find, and they just do stuff for me. Like, you go to work. You go pick up my
sleep, bro.
You go get my dry cleaning. You go get my pizza. Like, I would be the laziest fuck in existence because I would just have my Pokemon do everything for me.
You're saying okay, let me get, so here's again, let's take all the layers off this. You want an intelligent being that you capture to do everything for you. That's slavery.
Oh, geez.
You want a slave. You want a slave that looks weird.
No.
Oh my God.
You fucking colonizer.
Did you just Rick Sanchez me? Did you just say slavery with extra steps? You did, you fucking asshole.
That's what you said. You're like, I just want to be lazy and have someone do everything for me. But not like, it's not like you have like a little pet monkey. You have an intelligent being.
Yes.
A being that can do your taxes.
But that's just it. We're in the Pokemon world where this is totally normal to do.
Doing the exact opposite. This is the Pokemon world. Taxes aren't fucking real. I'm gonna go into the forest and become one with the Pokemon. Like everything else, like Pokemon world, like there's always gonna be food there for people. Like you don't gotta eat, you don't gotta shit. You got like my female problem was out the window. There's no periods in Pokemon verse. Like there's nothing. So I'm just gonna go and be the naturalist of my dreams and like, you know, befriend the Pokemon and become one with the Pokemon.
So you're just going full cottagecore in the Pokemon world.
Yes, I'm gonna be the witch in the woods that all the Pokemon likes.
And
I'll feed them, talk to them. Because like, didn't they just speak regular in the comics too? It wasn't the Pikachu. Like they fucking talked. Like
kind of. So in some episodes, some of them did.
Some actually can speak to you. So like I'm just gonna befriend them and they'll do things if they want, but I'm not gonna force them. I'm not gonna get a trappable slavery ball to go throw them at. I'm not gonna go take them away from their family and friends. Hell?
They do have the Safari Zone. You would probably be the runner of the Safari Zone pretty much.
I just want to be in my cute little Lolita dress in a like witch cottage in the woods with my Arbok chilling on my couch.
I think the biggest
Arbok? That's the one you want?
I mean, I want Psyduck. Psyduck's my favorite.
Psyduck would be rad. Arbok might like eat you.
No, well, not if I feed him other Pokemon.
I do love like your druid style aspect of this. I would go much more druidic. I would just like go into the woods and hang out with all these dudes because they're again like remember it was one of my redo it like the Pokemon world. Like it's a fucked up world. I don't like the idea of Pokemon. Like I think it's cool, but like if you dig into it, you take some layers off. It's a dark place. I'd end up being like a Pokemon PETA boy, and I'd be like just trying to destroy the Pokeball factory. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to go hang out with all these dudes. I'd probably get murdered like a Scizor in a tree one day, but
an eco Poke terrorist.
I just
100%.
They're just things I've never really understood about Pokemon. I mean, I'm not going to go into how do you shrink into a Pokeball? I don't care. It's
that's physics. Who cares about physics?
Yeah. No,
it's magic.
Here's what I do care about though. Like, okay, you throw the ball, it comes out and it fights. like, why doesn't it run away? I've never understood it. Like, there are sometimes, like, obviously you don't want to be anywhere near humans or a Pokemon trainer for sure. Like, why not just fucking what's keeping them in a Pokemon area circle of this Pokeball? Because I thought to myself, maybe it has like an X amount of space, right? But at the same time, you know, you have your arenas, which are huge. So the area space doesn't seem to matter. And I've always just wondered, what is keeping you there?
Crush spirit. You've crushed their spirit.
That's really, I think, it.
Wow.
Like, you've defeated it. You basically like bit its fucking ear until it's yours. Like, that's the whole point, right? You just beat them because, like, you beat them to death in the wild until they can barely move. And then you trap them in a cage. You tell them they're yours. And it's like, what are they going to do if they try to escape again? You'll just beat them to death again. Again, really dark place. Not like... That's what they're afraid. They're terrified. Like, do you think they all want to get out and fight too? Because all you do is do chicken fighting as well. You're just like, go, hey, Gengar, go punch that like Psyduck in the face until it's dead.
Well,
or like if you get a bunch of the same ones, you capture like a Pikachu, and it's like, hey, Pikachu, hey, I'm gonna use you to go ahead and electrocute your whole family so I can capture all the Pikachus. Are you okay with that? Woof. No good.
And then another thing, it's like, okay, your Pokemon faints, it gets knocked out, it never dies.
God, Milton.
It never dies, but there's also a Pokemon graveyard, and like they never really address like dead Pokemon. I know it's a kid's show, and we don't have to do this, but like, I don't know. I've always been uncomfortable with that aspect. Just a little
Literally
bit.
dog fighting. We talked about this. Michael Vick would totally like Pokemon.
Yeah. What if Pokemon are like in that world? They're actually just like, it's more like a spirit thing. Like they're kind of like they're more like yokai, and like the Yokai Watch, which is kind of like the Japanese version of like the Pokemon thing. Well, I mean, I guess they're both Japanese, but it was more of like a spiritual thing. But like Pokemon could actually be like just like ghosts of old dead animals, and so they're not really, they can't really die. It kind of gives like some whimsy. That's my favorite word of the day, by the way. Thank you for whimsy's now my jam today.
I love whimsy. It's one of my favorite words. I hate to say this, but I know what would end up happening in this world if it were to mesh with ours. First off, cars would be gone. That we wouldn't have.
Do you know that?
I do, because everyone's gonna be riding Pokemon, and there's gonna be Pokemon like traffic, and like you would buy Pokemon from like the Pokemon transport store.
Would you though? I mean, think about it. Would you rather ride in a comfy car or ride with your fucking balls on a Charizard? Like, that would hurt.
Do you really have? Wait, do you have to ask that question? Of course, I'm going to take the Charizard to work. Fuck you.
I mean, there's some novelty for a little while, but eventually your thighs are so chapped, like it's just a bad time.
Okay,
nobody's enjoying it.
Tangent. What would be like the worst Pokemon? Like worst Pokemon to ride? I think I have an answer already, but what do you guys think?
Wheezing.
Or Executor.
Executor.
I feel like
it's just a spiny tree.
For me, I think it'd be Onyx. Onyx would be the worst thing to ride just ever. It's just
you get pinched so much. Oh my! Can you like it would just constantly like just beep like pinch your thighs as you're trying to pass.
Although I will say it would be great in traffic because it's like, okay, I want everyone out of my way. Go ahead and honk for me, Onyx. Just roar.
You just hop on like a was it a Voltorb, the ones that explode, and so everyone just runs away because you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Whee!
I would train a Voltorb just to do a false self-destruct, so that way when I am in traffic, like Voltorb, like fake it, go. I still have like nightmares of Voltorbs from Super Smash Brothers Melee. They're my least favorite Pokemon that came out in this. Milton, please leave me alone.
There's your Pokemon right there.
He's the worst Pokemon for sure, and he's hungry, and no one's played with him all day, and he's so frustrated. I just got back from work like a little while ago. Anywho, I would just have like
Magikarp.
I would just have a whole wall of Magikarp just hanging out.
So fucked
just
up.
Flailing
they're
around.
Just still alive. They're just like the Billy the Sea Bass, but it's like Mindy the Magikarp, and it's just like, help me. I feel bad for Magikarp because Magikarp apparently can stay alive on the surface for a pretty good long
while, and they don't die right away. Like, you know, it's just suffering like its entire
like
life, just odd
most
life.
fish just suffer and die when you take them out of the water. That's pretty common to fish folk.
It is, but Magikarp, because it's like a magic carp, I imagine would be a lot longer.
Doesn't make sense. I do love that they went with the carp too, because like carp in real life are just nasty, gross, useless fish anyway. They're all bone. Nobody, when you catch a carp when you're out fishing, it's just like, fuck, throw it back. They suck. You can't eat them. You can't do anything. Poor Magikarp. But he's got a great future. You're gonna be a Gyarados one day.
One day.
Yeah, maybe.
One day.
What else can I say about this world? Like, I feel like so many things would end up getting settled on Pokemon
nurses would be
matches.
hot by default.
And police people.
That's
Oh, yeah.
true.
And no police brutality.
You know what would frustrate me the most, I think, is how EVs would just be absolutely just taken advantage of by like just pretty white girls everywhere. They would just take every EV on Earth and it would just be a fashion symbol. And Eevee is like a super cute, intelligent Pokemon that can turn into so many different things and then even into like legendaries and shit. And Eevee is just gonna be like walked around like in people's purses all day.
Oh my god, yes.
It would make me so frustrated. I would just want to free the EVs. Again, I'm an eco-terrorist in this world. 100% eco-terrorist.
Also, keep in mind, all the Chanseys would probably end up working for like the medical field. All the electric Pokemon would literally power the grid. Like they would be used as fuck in terms of like what they can do.
That is true.
I would probably join with my mystic army of the Wilds Pokemon to the eco-terrorist group.
I'll recruit you.
And Mewtwo would run for president.
Mewtwo would kill everyone, first of all. Mewtwo don't like people.
Mewtwo.
Yeah.
Mewtwo would be like the leader of like the NGO trying to like save all the Pokemon at the UN.
Yeah,
We'll be answering to
and we're
Mewtwo.
only working on 151s right now. There's so many weird ones out there now. Like Pokemon is really going off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
Scorbunny.
Scorbunny be setting fire to things.
Yeah, if anybody runs for president, it'd be Meowth. I feel like Meowth would actually make it. Like, and
frickin'
like, there's just like the
Meowth.
one talking Pokemon who's like, I stand for all Pokemon, but in reality, they're just
It's like
"I
the
don't
Morty
fucking care.
for
Get back in your
president."
cage, Chansey. Like,
It's like Morty for president.
Pretty much.
That's exactly what it is. Meowth is just evil Morty.
Mhm.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I'm down with this world because it would give me a cause. I'd have meaning in this world.
I'd have
fight the good
freaking
fight.
purple hair. I'd be so cool. Everyone would have like interesting colored hair and
I just
weird
love that
clothes.
You're like, I'd be hot, cool, and have no periods. I'm down. Hey,
Fight
it's
the
not really about
power.
Pokemon.
I would definitely be part of this world to purport my own laziness. You guys would probably hate my guts. It's okay.
It's okay.
I'd burn your fucking house down.
Yeah.
I'd save the Pokemon inside and let you die.
I'd have a secret swampy refuge for all of the saved Pokemon.
Oh,
I like swampy
goodness.
refuges. Milton, you're growling at a fig. Come on.
Growling at a fig.
Oh my god.
I think we're gonna move on from this to If I Had Made It. And for those who are tuning in and haven't seen our show a lot, this is where we take movies that may have sucked or probably sucked or were a hot garbage fire, and we remake it and see if we can make it any better. Unless your name is Samuel Locke and you're interested in doing Mario stuff.
That's the only good one we've done. Cheers.
Zach, what would you remake in this world?
I would redo, or I guess more like kind of make like do like a sequel or like a reimagining of Captain Planet. More set in modern times where it's fallen apart. Like the world now, like Captain Planet is like reborn. Like there's the whole crew wants to like bring Captain Planet back because the world is falling apart right now and everything's on fire. But he gets back and he's just enraged, like can't handle it, and becomes like a full-on like warrior against the human race. And so then they, with their powers combined, they have to try to like stop Captain Planet, while at the same time, like, you know, teaching young kids, while Captain Planet is just like burning down oil refineries. But yeah, I'd love to see a reimagined Dark Captain Planet. Anybody down on my Dark Captain Planet?
Only if we can get Don Cheadle.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Have you not seen it? It's so good.
Yeah, wait. Have you not seen the Don Cheadle's Captain America?
Or Captain Planet?
Yeah. Or Captain Planet.
So funny. It's really funny.
So good. Oh my God. Shannon has not seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I guess I'm watching that tonight.
Yeah, and it's a skit, right? It's a Funny or Die skit.
But here's they actually did more of them. They made a new a little mini series. I know there was the first one. Yeah, there was the first one, but then they made 3 more, and it just gets so much darker.
That's great. So basically, my idea has kind of already been done, I guess. I didn't think about that. But yeah, that's what I would do. I think that would be fun. And I think if you haven't caught the gist of my normal, if I'd done it, I just like making horror versions of fun, jovial things. And I want to see Captain Planet wreck shit. And I want to see the little heart kid actually have to be useful and not suck. And yeah, I think it'd be fun. And it might, show people that they need to get their shit together, because I want to have kids one day, and we're running out of planet to have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can go next.
Go for it.
So basically, today I found out that Netflix was doing a live action version of this show called Winx Club that I watched when I was a little girl. It was this Italian series that they redubbed over. I think it was either Funimation or 4Kids redubbed over in English, and it was I don't know if anyone was the acronym WITCH or whatever. There's these teeny bopper shows or little kids magical girl European magical girl shows that were in the early pre 2010. So they're making a live action version, and I watched the trailer and I was like, no, this is not gonna happen, because I know in the past I'm I want to see an edgy version of Danny Phantom, because that makes sense. They're making Winx Club, which is about these girls who find out that they're fairies, and they go to a fairy school, and it's very there's they have to fight the forces of evil and everything, but it's very let's go to the mall and makeovers, and then it's just super little girl TV show, and they're making it edgy. And I just watched the 2-minute trailer. I'm all right, no. If they're going to do a live action, we got to make them look like they're actually 14 years old. They look like supermodels because it was an Italian TV show anyway, unrealistic proportions and stuff. But I'm just no. You're not Sabrina-ing Winx Club. That's not how this is going.
Yeah.
Sabrina is Sabrina. It's based off of the newer comics, which are edgy. But Winx Club was never edgy, and I'm upset about it.
So do you want to make a more do you want to just be full of whimsy?
Kid-friendly one. It doesn't have to be a play-by-play from the original animated series, obviously, but it's just they're gonna, because Netflix likes to sex things up and everything, because in
That's
the
what
sex
they
cells, whatever. But there's a gap in their content between little kid stuff and then stuff that teenagers, the high end of the teens. I feel if they were gonna make the Winx Club, it should be the mid-range, middle schoolers is the people that were watching the original series. That's where it was geared for 10 to 15-year-olds, that 5-year range. So right now, from at least the trailer that I watched, it seems it's high ends of the teens into the early 20s, the CW range,
Well, would you want it to be a kid show though? I mean, border
I want it to be kind of iCarly-esque, not
okay, a Disney show, a
Disney show. It would be better that way, I think, just because the original series was very user friendly. I mean, towards the extra movies and stuff, it started getting a little bit darker and whatnot, but then they changed their animation style and then went back to super kid friendly stuff. Mm-hmm. Somebody ended up dying 5 seasons later, but that was a while before anybody actually died. Everyone just kind of came back from the shadow realm, metaphorically speaking. So
for a minute you heard they did, I was that's not really, that's rad. Yep. Just a bunch of little tiny kids go to the shadow realm, have to speak to the Raven Queen. It's getting kind of dark.
Yeah, it was you know, like they just started high school. They're not going to college. So it was just like now they have all these college age people and they're like starting Alpha College and it's like dark and Harry Potter-esque and like the last couple movies of Harry Potter. I'm like, oh no, stop making this edgy. So I'd make it more like kid friendly, at least for me.
No one ever gets back. No one ever goes past movie 4, and they never do. No one. No. Here's the thing. Ask any Harry Potter person. It's like 1 through 4 my favorite. I pretty much discount 5 through 7. I never know any single person who's like, these are my favorite. No one does it.
No.
But that's okay. You're right for like favorites, because everyone's favorites, like most people's favorites, Goblet of Fire. That's so many people, and then like sometimes Prisoner of Azkaban, Chamber of Secrets.
I like Sorcerer's Stone a lot.
Sorcerer's Stone, they're such babies.
They're little babies. I like that.
But like people watch the shit out of all those movies. Like almost all of my friends within the last few months have marathoned every single movie, especially when they were on HBO. Like everyone was watching all of them all the time.
Here's my problem. Like I have friends who will watch, right? And it's every time, I would say 90% of the time it's, hey, let's watch movie 3. I have seen movie 3 so many goddamn times, disproportionately to the rest of the series, that I have forgotten what happens in movies 5 through like 7 part 2. I have no idea what happened because I never get past 4 for sure.
It sounds like a you thing.
I have shitty friends thing.
Sounds like a you thing that you are now like generalizing among most people.
I need friends who will watch the whole thing. I got to get past 4. I have to get past 4.
I tell you what, go watch it. Just fucking do it. You don't need that. You can do it yourself.
I need friends to watch movies with. It's like drinking alone. It's pathetic.
That's fair.
Oh, yeah. So Freeform. I would have put it on Freeform, the Winx Club thing, instead of Netflix. So it would be more like family friendly and stuff. Or like Disney Plus or some shit.
Yeah, you could just go to Disney Plus or Disney, something like that. That'd be rad.
Yeah, Disney would like that. Yeah.
But Netflix got it first.
Well, what you got, Sam?
So this is not so much as a if I had made it, but it's something I want to reboot, and it's actually a really important show from my childhood. Probably actually the most important show from my childhood that really shaped who I am today, and that show is the Legends of Pete and Pete, The Adventures of Pete and Pete. Have you guys? I might be dating myself. It was on Snick. It was called Snick at the time in the early '90s, which was like late night Nickelodeon. And it was about 2 brothers named Pete and Pete. It had Dan.
Never watched that.
It's so good, and the it's very hipster. It's very so beyond its time. Like it wasn't well received, but it was narrated by one of the brothers. And it was plaid, like Midwestern type of thing where they're just dealing with these problems. You have like this weird looking dude named Artie who's the world's strongest man, and like he literally just runs around being a superhero, but he's like this like Aquabats looking superhero, and it's just this weird quirky show, and I can't recommend it enough to everybody. Like it still holds up. I have the DVD out here somewhere. And like the 9-year-old has like this huge tattoo on his arm, and this was Nickelodeon in the 90s. Like it was like literally like
things were hardcore in the 90s, man.
It was
a weird time to be alive.
It was a weird time, and that show like encapsulated this weirdness because they would never get into like the characters were just so well developed, and the dialogue was really just strong, and it had this intro song that I still have in my head to this day, 30 years later, essentially. You can probably find it on the internet if you want to watch the original, but the thing is, I wouldn't actually change a thing about it. I just literally want to sit there and remake this in with the heart and soul, but more updated to and relevant to today. It is so good. I watch it now, I watch it then, and it's so important. I highly recommend it.
What would you? I mean, what is your spin? Like, what do you just told me you want it redone?
So
what would you do to it?
Gotcha. So the spin is the brothers stay relatively the same. It's I'd say like an updated world around it, because it felt like something you watched in the 90s, but the world itself felt like the 60s, 70s. which was really fascinating to do. So essentially, I would just change the era. They were living nowadays, but it felt like it would be shot essentially in the 90s, 80s and 90s, and really it felt like a nostalgic piece for a world that I was never even a part of, and I can't explain it any better than that. It's so good.
That's fair. I'll check it out. I don't know about it. I like to know new things.
Maybe Disney Plus has it. I don't know where you find it.
Disney Plus.
I'm Adventures of Pete and Pete. Maybe Hulu or something. Streaming. Anyway, we're gonna move on to. Okay, it's on Prime. You can watch it on Prime. We're gonna move on to The Hills We Die On. Yes, Bezos, you fucker. I have a hill that everyone's gonna hate me for, so I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it.
What?
I have a hill that everyone's gonna hate me for, and that's okay. Melted.
It was so loud in my ears.
Shannon, what hill would you die on tonight?
The hill I would die on. Oh goodness, I had it in my brain. Why is this always happening to me now? My brain is breaking.
Write them down.
You're down?
No, I said you need to write them down.
I know.
Because I do the same thing.
I
Just
do.
2 words. You'll remember.
2 words I'll remember. Okay, I'm gonna flourish until I fucking remember.
Do you want me to go? So you remember?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do one that people are gonna hate me for, especially because I don't know what our demographics are like. I fucking hate the 80s. I hate like everything about the 80s. I hate the music of the 80s. I don't like the movies of the 80s. There's no other decade. There's no other time period that I like less than the 80s. If anyone tries to make me listen to The Cure or the Eurythmics one time ever more in my life, I'll throw them out a window. It was such a mess. Like people were coming out of the 70s, not knowing what's going on. And then they just landed in 42 kilos of cocaine and just tried to like bring themselves together. And that's like, the 80s were just a fucking mess. And I don't really like it. It was like this cusp of technology. People didn't really get it yet. I don't like the style. I don't like the fashion. Like my mom shows me pictures of her back in the 80s. And I'm like, Mom, it was terrible. It was your worst time. What's going on? I know there are exceptions. Obviously, I know everyone's gonna be like, what about 80s rock? Like, sure, there's cool music. For the most part, though, just generally, I fucking hate the 80s. And I don't like, certainly, like almost any movie that comes in the 80s, especially 80s comedy. God, they just weren't funny in the 80s. Sorry, that's my hill.
I'm gonna go halfway up there for you just because I really like Prince, Michael Jackson, and Madonna. But
I respect those people. I do. I respect a lot of the talent.
Also like the 80s rock too.
So I don't like any Madonna music. And I love that Prince can play every instrument. And I think he's probably more talented than anything I could ever be in my whole life. But I don't like a lot of Prince.
I do agree with the awful outfits. And I do agree with, I remember watching a lot of 80s comedies with my mom and she was like laughing her ass off. And I'm like, that's sexist.
Yeah, it's awful.
Like, that's awful. That's bad. The only thing I do like that came out of Die Hard and Lethal Weapon. They're ridiculous. That's why I like them. They're just redonkulous.
There's a couple exceptions. It's just as a generalized form. Hold on. Milton, go away. Be gone. Gone. Be gone, thought. No one wants you in here. Please leave. Go hang out with anyone else in the house. Everyone's here. He's growling at figs in a trash can, but if he eats figs, he'll shit everywhere. He can't eat the figs, but he wants all the fucking figs. And he's just gonna shit all over my life. Like everyone else does in my whole world. Katie's rat had 18 babies yesterday too, and I didn't plan on that. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, fuck you.
Sorry, this needs to stay in. This is hilarious.
Let me just compose my thoughts here for a moment.
All right, I can go now. I remembered.
No, wait, no. I have so.
Yeah, Sam hasn't even yelled at me yet. He's still. Did you not see in his face? Sam's mad.
I can't even. I'm beyond mad. Who hurt you? Why? Oh my god.
My parents, and they were 80s people.
Oh, I like
What, like,
obviously
what do you really like about it? Like, besides like single standouts, like the
Oh.
style was the worst.
Are you kidding?
Most of the music sucked. The whole, like, when they learned how electronic music worked, they needed 20 years to figure it out because they fucking sucked at it back then.
First off and foremost, new wave music is awesome. B, like, there were good movies. The only movie that I would yeet out of existence in that area is probably 16 Candles. Fuck that movie. Fuck that movie. That is an I watched it for my first time like a month ago, and I was like, oh my god, who made this nonsense? But here or there, the thing is, like, the 80s, like the weird outdated tech, like everyone was just like, that's like nerds were kind of starting to take off as a thing. Like, Revenge of the Nerds, also an awful movie.
There's a celebrated rape in that movie.
There is.
Like, let's not gloss that over.
No, the thing is, movies are hit and miss, sure, but the 80s as a whole was weird. And I love how weird it was. You're right, it was weird.
I don't like how weird it was.
That's why it was a weird energy. And not only am I not on this hill, I'm like,
I hated Weird Science.
Weird Science.
It was, again, I think that's so bringing up Revenge of the Nerds and Weird Science kind of puts a little bit of it to me. I think so one thing that I really hate just in general is like shame humor or awkward humor. So pretty much anything British. I hate British humor. I don't think the British are funny. I think they rely on hurting others to be funny always.
That's just another hill to die on.
That's fine. Actually, British comedy's on my hills to die on. I don't like British comedy at all. But like in the 80s, like there was a very like awkward time, and it seemed a very like mean time a lot. Like it was very like, it's like painful and cruel. A lot of it was like most of the movies and most of the stuff that came out was just like, I think people were starting to like feel themselves, like I said, like come out of the 70s where it was, the people were like blossoming into this new, like, we had like the 60s love turned into like the 70s, which was this wild time where like technology was blowing up. People were being more free, and like people weren't so racist, and like people were accepting black people, and it was cool. And the 80s, like people didn't know how to handle it. And there's very little things I enjoy out of it. And I know you don't have to agree with me. It's my hill. I'll stand up here alone. I don't care. I'm alone a lot anyway. But yeah, there's nothing in the 80s that really like does it for me.
Okay, based on what I understand what you're trying to say. In which case, instead of me just walking away from this hill, I will literally have like a toe on this, like a single toe on this hill. Because like I think of like the dumb shit that was in the 80s, like, you know, I mean, Weird Science was very extremely misogynistic. 16 Candles was the worst of everything. And then like, you know, also Reagan was a thing.
Reagan was a huge part of the downfall of America. But was hidden behind this very like charming face and this big demeanor, and like change was cool, and like we can have a handsome man for president.
Okay, like I guess for the most part, the 80s it has like these legendary movie moments. It also has its shitty movie moments, and it has great music, but also shitty hair. I mean, depends on who you're asking though. And then there's the cars. The cars were amazing.
They're like my least favorite part. I hate the car. What are you talking about? They're so boxy and weird. They're all the worst. The 80s Corvettes and Mustangs are the stupidest looking things in the world. Let
me tell you, I bet
you love the DeLorean, don't you?
Shut up.
Garbage.
Here's the thing, like, no, I actually work for advertising in the car industry, and a lot of things that we talk about is how well the cars in the 80s were actually built. The thing is, we didn't have planned obsolescence. That wasn't a strategy.
Yeah.
You know, now like the 80s cars, there are still lots of them still running because they're actual quality fucking cars. Yeah, they might be boxy, they might not have all the bangs and whistles we have today, but they
had steel roll cages rather than aluminum, and I get it. And it was a blossoming of culture. Like it really was. Like in the 80s, like the world really like leveled up a lot. Like we became much more globalized. Culture changed a lot. There's tons of different things. Yeah. However, like I don't think the world was ready to begin that exponential culture curve at that point, because like people did weird shit, and And it was just a very strange time. And like the more anytime I've like studied it or looked into it, like it's always more negative than positive for me. And that's it. We don't have to break down the entire cultural understanding.
I know. It's just, this is such a weird hill to die on, and I like I said, I'm going to be one toe in. I will be one toe in.
Well, you can find me on British comedy next week because I'll get into it because I fucking hate British comedy.
I see your hate, and I raise you John Oliver. Shannon, what do you got?
Okay, so I hate, especially today was the day that we got all of the Disney investor new titles. I absolutely hate the expansion of the MCU. I'm so sick of it. I'm done with Marvel movies. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm fucking done. I was done for a really long time, and they just keep pumping them out because they know they're gonna it's not even to make good quality shit anymore. It's to sell things. This is what Disney does. As a formal Disney employee, even during a moment in the not even MCU, The Mandalorian, they had a bright teal cookie, and I watch a lot of cooking YouTube and shit. Binging with Babish had Jon Favreau on. He's like, oh, I got this idea for this teal cookie. I'm like, no, Disney Parks Baking told you to fucking put that teal cookie in that cellophane wrap so they can sell it in the fucking park.
Yeah.
Everything that they do is just trying to merchandise, and I'm fucking sick of it. I'm done. I don't want any more movies. I don't want any more shows. I'm not even paying for Disney Plus, but I'm sick of it.
I'm gonna watch every single one, but I'll hate it the whole time. Yeah, we'll see. Because there's so much good stuff coming out. That's so hard to say.
I'm just so tired.
I guess
figuring it out.
Here's the thing. I get what you're saying, and I'm halfway up the hill. The only reason I'm halfway and not a toe in is because I do believe that MCU has gotten super formula. I walk into the movie and I know exactly what I'm gonna see at the beginning, the middle, the end. There's no other than the second half of Endgame, which was brilliant. I'll get kudos to second half.
I know, 100%. That movie was incredible. Objectively incredible.
It was perfect. It was what I wanted. It's what everyone wanted. All these fucking portals opening up and everyone in the entire universe
on your left. Fire.
Such good. All good. Max good. But I know what you're saying. The build up to that is obviously, here's your power, here's the bad guy, and then part two. It's just the only one that goes off formula is Deadpool, but even Deadpool is its own formula. And
so what you're getting, the problem here, and this is weird, and this is one thing that Marvel did well, but they're also going to end up kind of suffering for it. They're going to hit that 90s boom to where comics, for me as a comic fan, I walk into some giant comic shops, or what I used to back when the world was real. And sometimes you do, you look around and it's just oh my God, how many lines are they running? Marvel would be running 150 different comics. And I just don't know what to read. It's overwhelming. And there's just so much shit. And Marvel is trying to give that to people, people that don't do comics. They're listen, we'll take all these amazing characters and we'll take what people loved out of the comics and make them into movies, which is great. But I think it will get to a point where there is a lot of burnout. I think it is unfair to say that takes away from the quality of what they're doing. Because the worst Marvel movie is still a better movie than a ton of shit that comes out in Hollywood these days.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not talking about Justice League here. We're talking about good movies. And all I'm getting at the point in that is it is hard to justify them making a million movies and a million shows because it is overwhelming. But they are making quality content. Stand beside, if you just take it away from everything else and objectify just the singular things, they're often really good. You do get the formulas, but so do comics, man. I can pick up almost any comic line and I know generally what's going to happen because I've been reading comics for 20 years.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Here's what I imagine is going to happen next. They're going to realize, okay, we can't tie the MCU universe in anymore. It doesn't make any sense because what ends up happening is you get the burnout having this extended universe and you have no idea what's going on. Our MCU right now is 22, 23 movies. It's a fucking lot. Someone who's
and that's just the movies.
Yeah, and
the shows and everything.
And if you're nobody, like if you like say you were like, you know, born in 2005 and you're trying to catch up, it's almost impossible. And so what's going to happen is they're going to go back to singular titles. The thing is, we can't carry on the Avengers forever. We can't keep building this world forever. So we're going to go back down to seeing maybe a Gambit movie, maybe a Moon Knight movie.
I think they're moving away from movies. Like, did you see the new slate? It's almost all TV shows. Like they're moving into shows because they know that they can tell bigger stories, and they can tell stories like they do in the comics now. Yes. And I think that's amazing. And those shows are going to be weird. Have you seen the previews for WandaVision? It's going to be fucking nuts. It's going to be so weird and creepy, and like it'll be something very new. Like, well, I think it's amazing. I generally love it, but I also like I've loved Marvel forever.
We're going to get to a point where literally Marvel is just going to have its own channel essentially, and all they do is they
already could. Yeah,
they could. No, right now they definitely could, but I'm saying like they would essentially have a slate so big that it's just your favorite comics 24/7, and they have enough content to do that. And that's actually really exciting. I would love that.
That's fair. Here's a question for you, Shannon. Would you take Marvel out of it? What about like other things? Like, so for instance, one of my biggest things that I'm so fucking excited about is they're doing an animated version of Invincible. I've actually brought up in one of the things I talked about before. And it's done like, so Seth Rogen and a shit ton of people. Glenn is playing the main character, Glenn from Walking Dead. I can't remember his name right now.
Steven Yeun,
yeah. And like it has so many amazing people in it, but it is a very comic booky, very traditional style. It does get out there and get super weird. But are you done with all comic-y stuff, or is it really just Marvel that's under your skin because they're too big?
It's kind of like just the Marvel and the big comics, because like I am a huge fan of The Boys, and that's a comic.
Yeah.
So like I'm just kind of I'm more done with the whole like cut and dry, like I'm a superhero and the formulaic aspect of it. And I'm also, I guess it's a bigger critique of just the Disney company in general, because Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, amazing, groundbreaking, not like so family friendly.
Pirates of the Caribbean,
huh?
The fifth Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, I'm not talking about the rest of them. I'm talking about that era of Disney when they were like taking chances, taking risks, and actually being innovative with their storytelling, except for like, you know, Endgame, second half, great. A lot of their live actions, even outside of the Marvel universe, have been very safe just so they can generate money. And that's why I'm like,
they're like
I guess I'm more like worried about it. I'm like, if they're going to be great Marvel shows and they're going to be innovative, like I'm excited for WandaVision because it looks so different than what normally was happening with the MCU. But if all the other stuff is going to be very like safe, I'm going to tap out. I'm just kind of done with it.
But I think that's okay, because like I said, one thing I think they're going into is giving people a catalog. And luckily they have the money to do it, because like, so previously, and like 8 years ago, if like Thor 2 is coming out, it's like the only one of that year, and everyone was going to go see it because it was like the next Marvel movie coming out. But now like there's like 4 shows coming out per quarter. There's a movie coming out all the time. Like, of course this year's different because there's nothing out, but like their lineup it's going to be all the time. They don't give a fuck if you don't see them all anymore. You can pick kind of what you want, and it's much more like a comic catalog. And I think that's kind of cool. And only Disney could do this because they need more money than God, and they pretty much own God anyway. If he has money,
God is Mickey Mouse. Did we not? Were you not at the?
Well, they definitely bought the Earth to God for sure.
Worship me, haha!
Oh, I got you, bitch. Sorry, my bad, God. But I think it's kind of cool that they might have like they can put it like that, to where like if I when I have a kid, I can be like, hey, like, what kind of story do you want to watch? Because there's 400 Marvel movies and shows to go through. Like, and that's I kind of respect that, as long as they keep up the quality.
You know what's gonna happen, right? There's gonna be a college course called the History of Marvel Movies, and that's all it's gonna be. That's what's gonna happen.
I took a history of Lord of the Rings class in college, which was really amazing.
Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close this out with something that's going to get me universally hated, most likely.
Oh, no.
I love Dane Cook's comedy. I know he's a piece of shit. He's an absolute garbage individual, but he's also objectively really funny. And I know he's not like a real comedian because he tells stories, he doesn't tell jokes, but he's such a physical dude, and he puts like everything into his comedy. Like I was just watching Vicious Circle last night because my girl hasn't seen it. I was like, yo, we have to watch this. And it was so funny. And I was like, this is great. And she's like, but why does everyone hate him? I'm like, it's a long story, but he peaked early. That's the best way I can explain it. But yeah, I like Dane Cook comedy, and I will die on that hill. I'm sure I will die on that hill, most likely.
I don't think he'll die. Do you still like Dane Cook?
Not like all of his
because
stuff,
I do like I agree. His like first couple. There's one where it was like before he was even got really big. He's wearing like a great white great white shark shirt on, and it's like one of the Comedy Central 30 minutes.
I remember that one.
It was so fucking funny. But he was like the prime early 2000s like angry comic, but he nailed it. He was really good at it, but he did fade fast. When he fell, he fucking crashed.
Well, here's what ended up happening. He was a victim of his own success, is what ended up happening. Because he made that really awesome special. Then he made Vicious Circle, which was the first comedian to sell out an entire stadium. And then that was just the peak. He just peaked so early. Because he did come up with another one. I can't remember what it was called, like something Assault, and it wasn't that good. And then his movies started not being that good. And he just kind of like, he couldn't top Vicious Circle.
His movies were sometimes funny though. Like Waiting.
I loved Waiting. Waiting's so good.
If you've ever worked in a restaurant, you love Waiting. If you haven't worked in a Western restaurant, you're usually like, that movie is gross and I don't like it. But anyone that's been in the service industry is like, no, it's perfect.
I'm trying to stay away from people that are kind of groomers. His girlfriend, he currently dating, started dating her when she was freshly 19. Technically over the age of adulthood, but there's a 26-year difference between them, which could work when she's legal drinking age. But
yeah, that's unfortunate. That's just different. The unfortunate like separation of like art and person. It's like my issues with Kanye and shit. Like,
watch Hannah Gadsby. She answers that question so well. But yes, no, I do like his comedy. It's hard to, and I've met him in real life, actually. I actually met him at the House of Blues when it was still around on Hollywood Boulevard. He opened, and I told him a joke, actually, because I just started stand-up at the time, and I wanted to know what he thought. He's like, that's really funny. I liked it. Really good. And then, like, I guess...
Is he on coke? The way you did your eyes.
That was a great one. Yeah.
No, he actually had to bounce because some shit went down. TMZ was there. It was like a whole fucking thing, and I'm just sitting there like, I just met Dane Cook on a fucking bender. This is awesome.
Did you do this whole hill just to tell us that you met Dane Cook at the House of Blues?
No, I would say that I would say this without the hill, but like no, I watched him the other day, and I was like, you know what? Some of his stuff actually still holds up. Like the atheist joke is by far one of my favorite fucking jokes.
I still say the B&E joke, where he's like, I just want to do a fucking B&E. And the ladies in her house, and she's just like, what did they take? That's still one of my favorite jokes. But I have no idea. Like, Shannon, I didn't know he has like personal things. I don't think I've heard anything about Dane Cook in like a decade. Dane Cook.
I didn't either, because I remember watching one of his original comedy things, something he was pretty funny, and then he like disappeared, and then it was just like, I don't know. I keep up with like psychology stuff and whatever.
I'm gonna look up his IMDb really quick. Keep talking.
But yeah. So then I remember seeing this news article, and I'm like, why do I not like Dane Cook? I remember there was something weird that I don't like him recently. It wasn't like before. So I'm just like, I just looked it up right now. I'm like, oh no, this is why I was a little bit iffy about him just as a person.
Famous dudes being pervs, man. It gets so frustrating because it just. There's
you
so many that are
get
just
anyone. Why do you go so young?
Well, I can't get anyone. People don't like him that much anymore.
I mean, now.
You know what? He still works. He's got a movie coming out or came out last year. He was on Workaholics, Robot Chicken, like the new one. Yeah, he's still working. He
Should
does a
get
lot of
into voice
voiceover.
work.
Now. No, he's in the voiceover now.
You know, it's funny. This actually reminds me. I was reading something that was really like, that I found super interesting. And Dane Cook might be another person that fits this sort of schema. Is we're to think about how one of the crazy things about Game of Thrones is, like, have you ever seen anything that so much as like dominated, absolutely engrossed all of culture, and
We've
then
talked
just,
about this.
yeah, and then just fell off. Dane Cook also fits that mold where like he was everywhere, and then he just disappeared out of our whole lexicon.
Yeah,
he's fucking gone.
It was fast.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's interesting, like what people do to really destroy that about themselves. Yeah, and I forgot we talked about that. But
well, because here's the thing. By the time I met him, this was in 2011, I think, or even 2010. When I met him
in his prime.
Yeah, no, this is it though. He was opening for Steel Panther at the House of Blues. That's why he was there.
That's rad.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and that was, and the thing is, like, no one cared he was there. That was the thing. Like, he was the opener. No one gives a shit. You know, he should be at the Comedy Store. He should be at the Improv, not at the House of Blues, like opening for, at that point in time, a not famous band. And it was just, it was really weird. Like, what are you doing? I wanted to ask, like, what are you doing here? But I knew just by the look in his eyes, like, don't ask that question.
Maybe he just had some bad management for a really long time.
It might have been
because he was in a lot of like offshoot like movies during that time.
I think people might have wanted him to be the next like Adam Sandler, but Adam Sandler came around in the right time period, in the right era, where like you could make an identity in Hollywood off that caricature. And I think Dane Cook kind of came around like just a little bit too late to make like a whole like sort of, because like Waiting, that movie, and like he was in a bunch in the
Good Luck Chuck.
Good Luck Chuck. There was the Superstore movie or some shit like that, or something like that.
Oh, Employee of the Month. Employee of the Month.
He was in a bunch of those movies that were like kind of quirky, silly, sitcom-y-esque like films that were based around his comedy and his persona. And yeah, it didn't work. Like, I think the world got too smart. Like, I love Adam Sandler in a lot of things, but his comedy often requires a kind of dumb audience. And there was a whole lot more dumb people watching it. Like, our generation just gotten too smart. We're too smart for dumb comedy.
Yeah. And
that's why those movies don't blow up like they used to. Like could you imagine if Happy Gilmore came out like today? People would ridicule it. But because we have such a high bar for comedy and everything, people are fucking douchey.
That's a big thing in the comedian space. Like, you know, one of the biggest complaints with comedians is like, oh, they like, it's just a bunch of people trying to PC me, thought police, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, bitch. Like, comedy's evolved. You haven't. And I have to explain. You
just got to be smart. You have to be smart now.
You have no idea how many times I have to explain this to comedians who've been doing it for like a while, where I'm just like, dude, it's not them. It's you, motherfucker. You need to change with the people, because if you're not relatable, no one's gonna laugh at you. And I realized this really early on, because I was doing the same jokes everyone else was in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And very early on, I was like, okay, I'm not getting laughs out of this, so I need to figure out what people are actually laughing about. So I went and I watched so many hours in a row of just movies and television shows that are like recently out, so that way I can understand the proper zeitgeist. And the thing is, we're changing even now. Like right now, we're in the middle of this shift, which is really cool. We're in this weird deconstructed era of comedy. It's brilliant, but it's also scary because so many people are going to get left behind. I'm gonna get off my soapbox here and end this show. We can talk about this
for fucking ever.
Yeah, we're gonna end this show. Thank you all for listening. Shannon, where can we find you in the world?
You can find me at Shanny Bees on Twitch. That's SHANIBEEZ. I didn't spell it with my hand this time. I have both of my Instagrams and my TikTok on there. It's also Shanny Bees with a Z on TikTok as well. I promise to post more videos there sometime soon. Anyway, next.
You can find me probably crawling out of a gutter somewhere, trying to survive. No, you can find me infrequently on social media, on Instagram on zclap1, ZKLAPP1. You can find me on YouTube soon. There's one, as usual, like I said, there's a bunch of shows being edited. One being Becoming Famous, and one being Seize and Deliver, a Star Wars bounty hunter story. You'll be able to find those relatively soon, and they'll all be linked when they are. But that's pretty much it. Besides that, I'll be under a rock or chasing my dog around my house. That's about it.
You can find me at SlimySammyLock on the Instagrams. You can find me at SlimySammyLock on the Twitters. You can find me at Steam Buddy Productions on YouTube, where I make funny things sometimes, as well as at SammyLock on the TikTokies, where I will also do some funny things, maybe sometimes, possibly. And of course, there is Chucklesluts in the world. You can Google us. We're pretty much front page at this point.
You're about to find us on Twitch.
And
we're about to be twitching.
And we're about to be twitching at the top of the year because we need to expand. And the best part about us twitching is that you can get to know us a little better because you can talk to us and check us out live and watch us play games and rage quit, because that's what I'm probably going to do depending on what I play.
I don't rage quit, but I might throw a controller.
Anyway, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching and listening, because without you, this is not worth doing. And as once again, we will see you next week.
Be slutty, chuckle a lot.
Hey! Yeah.